going on, everybody? I'm back again with another video. I'm back in the metro part of Manila, and this time I'm going to explore a neighborhood that I really don't know much about, but in the comment section somebody told me to check it out, which is called Kapitolyo, and I think it's in the Pasig municipality in Metro Manila. So I'm walking in between Ortigas and Greenfield district. I just got off the MRT, so I'm going to walk my way over that way. As you can see, there's a busy traffic jam towards my right side, a lot of stuff going on. There's also like smog in the air. So in some part it's kind of good because it helps out with the weather. Like it's hot, but it doesn't feel like brutally hot. So I'm gonna walk a couple of blocks and make it towards Kapitolyo to see what's going on over there. So without further ado, join me. This is what you get here. A crazy traffic jam, the motorbikes and everything. Cars going by. And they're doing like construction over here. So yeah, that's why I say sometimes, depending on your distance, I think it's better for me to just walk or hop in the train and get around faster. And this is part of the Greenfield district and some of the condos that's going on. But all over the metro part of Manila, they're popping out like tall high-rise buildings. So, but yeah, I gotta walk probably like 2 more blocks. That's an area where I can cross in peace. So I'm gonna walk towards that way because Kapitolyo is gonna be on my right side. And I think, based on what I'm seeing in the maps, I think it's just an area that has a lot of restaurants and stuff, and then they have like a barangay in the community over there, which I love exploring because it's mostly local. So I'm gonna do that. I think this over here is the borderline of Mandaluyong and Pasig. There's a blue sign there that says, "Welcome to Mandaluyong." You can see the Greenfield, and like I say, Ortigas is part of it. And then this over here should be Pasig. And we still got part of Ortigas over this way. So this over here is giving me vibes of New Jersey because you walk in one street, it's one town. Then you go in another street, it's another town. So I literally just entered Pasig, but behind me where you see the tall buildings is Mandaluyong, which is one of the municipalities of Metro Manila, which are composed of 16, big cities that make up the huge national capital region. And then to my right, Kapitolyo. I can see a couple of condos around here, but I think in the next street ahead of me is where I'm gonna make a right and start seeing what's going on in the neighborhood and what can I find. So in this area between Mandaluyong and Pasig, there's a couple of business districts. They got Capitol Commons, Ortigas, and then they're telling me about Kapitolyo. Like I say, there's so many business districts throughout the metro part of Manila to explore. Not just Makati or BBC. So I just entered one of the regular streets of Kapitolyo. So far, what I see is a gas station, a couple of residential units, and a couple of apartment complexes, but I'll show you the street actually ahead of me. So this is what you get. And I think it's like the pollution up in the air or the smog. That's why you can't really see the skylines like clearly or visibly. This is one of the regular streets out there. But I think in a block ahead, I'll make a left to United Drive or United Street. And that should be taking me probably to the main streets around Kapitolyo. Then a block ahead over here is United Street. So I'm gonna make a left over there and make it towards Capitol Drive, where this is a road that goes like around the neighborhood. I think it connects me to different parts of this neighborhood. I don't think it's that big according to the map, but I've seen they have a couple of restaurants, and probably cool stuff, maybe bars or something, so I want to see what's happening. And I think in the nighttime it's probably even busier, like more stuff going on. Here we got fast food chain Jollibee, a BDO, then I'm just waiting for the light to change, because I think it's better if I cross the street and walk that side of the road. You see they got a couple of apartment buildings ahead of me, so I think it's mostly like residential units. This is what you're getting at United Street. I gotta say, this street here is kind of reminding me of a city back home in Puerto Rico where I spend a lot of time, which is called Mayagüez. Like the same structure of the buildings, the same design, But hopefully there's more action happening when I make it probably towards the main area, what's going on. Here you're starting to see some of the condos. So far it's looking pretty good. Wow, they even have a fountain at the entrance. I'll show you guys. It's actually a hotel. Here we got a hotel, kind of like a mini peninsula hotel in Makati, but this is called Ace Hotel. It looks pretty good. So it seems like a lot of good stuff is happening over here. And I have a feeling that if I come here in the nighttime, the lights will be on and pretty vibrant. So that's really cool. Across the street, they got a couple of business establishments going on, but then I'm not sure if this is like a mixture of a condo ahead. But yeah, I never knew about this, so I want to thank the viewer who recommended me to come to Kapitolyo. This is called The Vantage at Kapitolyo. Wow. And then it's a super high-rise buildings. Not sure how much the rent is, but I'm pretty sure it's not too expensive for Western standards. And then I see a lot of vegetation too, like trees and stuff. And I've been saying it like in many of my videos that I film in Manila, because a lot of people think there's literally no trees in Metro Manila. But if you walk around the neighborhoods, you'll see a lot of well-developed neighborhoods, you know, with beautiful trees, beautiful, well-paved streets. So yeah, you know, it's not all negative out here. So I'm not sure how clear can you see this, but this is the map of Kapitolyo. So I think I'm gonna walk around circles heading south and then make it all the way back up, out again to the main street of Shaw Boulevard and wrap up the video over there. I think that's gonna be my route for now. Not sure what this is, like a studio or it's a coffee joint. And they got, you know, traffic out here. So that's the Capitol Drive. I'm gonna go over there and that's it that way at the end of the video. But I think I'm gonna walk towards this way south first to see what's going on. And based on the maps that I'm looking at, there's also like a little regular street that would take me to a little local park over here. And I think across the park is the amphitheater. So not sure how it's gonna be, but I'm gonna walk towards that way to see what it looks like. But so far the streets out here in Kapitolyo are really gorgeous and beautiful. And I like the fact that they have a lot of, you know, plants and trees out here. So far it's not too busy right now, so I guess it's like a little simple district out here in Pasig. The street goes, it seems like there's a hill down there. I'm not sure if I had passed throughout the streets when I was in the Grab car. It's a different vibe when you're walking and say, oh, they got mango sticky rice out here. Food truck, that's actually really cool. But yeah, then this is Smile Elephant. Let me see if I can cross the street. The banners that there was no cars and I crossed the street fast because I don't think there's like a pedestrian lane for me to cross or a signal light. But in my next left of street, that's why I'm gonna make a left and check out the regular streets and see what's going on. Look how nice this apartment is. Wow, then I'm gonna make a detour in some of the regular streets. Holy cow, look how steep the hill is. So it seems like this neighborhood is good for me to do a couple of cardios. And then you see how beautiful the houses are out here. Some of the streets and houses has reminded me when I was exploring Tomas Morato in Quezon City, you know, something a little bit similar to that. But yeah, over here, this is Pasig. And this over here is an amphitheater, and then over here is a local park. I wonder if I could go in. This over here is a local park, tiny but small, and I'm just surprised with the hills. Wow, they do have a lot of trees out here. This is cool. It's like a little urban park hidden right here, you know, with residential units and buildings. That's actually pretty dope. Nice to look at. That was a pretty interesting little park and street to look at. But now I'm just gonna head back to the main road out here and walk it around circles. If I see something interesting that is worth for me to film, then I'll show you guys. But I'm trying to explore, you know, this whole little section of Kapitolyo. But now the good thing is I'm walking down the hill, so I shouldn't be tired, you know, especially when it's hot outside. Right now, temperature marks is 102, but maybe because in the past days it was 108, 109, maybe I don't feel it too strong now. That's something that's actually really funny, but also I figure it's not too sunny outside, so it's kind of protecting me from the heat. See if the camera can catch it. There's a lot of tall buildings. And the other side of the buildings is the major highway, which is called EDSA. And that highway, Jesus. You ever pass through that highway? I think that's one of the highways in the world with the worst traffic jam. Like all over, you know. You could take a Grab car, even if you're not going far, you'll be stuck at least for an hour in traffic jam. Especially when you're heading before Mega Mall, you know, the Ortigas section. So, you know, something to keep in mind. But I like the fact how this street has a lot of trees and stuff. I think when I detour in the other side, that's when the street is going to be pretty interesting because they're going to have a lot of business and things happening. Then this tree, I'm not sure if it's the same one as I see in Puerto Rico. Gonna get a close up. So you see we got the red in it. It could be the same because the weather is the same, but in Puerto Rico we call it el flamboyant. And I mean, it's been so many years, so I even forgot when it's the flamboyant season, but it could be the similar concept. Because you know, Philippines and Puerto Rico has literally the same type of weather. Seems like in this section where I'm walking, there's literally nothing. I'm literally the only guy, and it's been happening in a lot of neighborhoods I cover in the Philippines. I'm literally the only guy walking out here in the streets. Maybe this area is not walkable, or maybe because of the heat too, so a lot of people don't want to brave out in the heat. But I want to show you the super tall high-rise buildings that are condominiums. Not sure if they can also have a couple of Airbnbs ahead of me, but I want to show you what's happening. Look at this massive, super tall buildings, wow. There's more on the other side. Wow, I wonder how much is the rent. I'm gonna Google it. I gotta go to Google to see how much it costs to live in one of those units. And a lot of these new buildings are well equipped. You know, they have gym, pool, all the amenities that you need, you know, and they're pretty nice on the inside. So I might start studying probably some Airbnbs and try to stay in some of these condos just for a little bit of an adventure. There's a nice street here. I want to do a detour to see what's going on. So I wanted to detour one of the streets, but I see like a little security booth. So I'm not sure if it's allowed. It's a private unit, a private street, residential street. So I'm not even going to take the chance, you know. But if I find another street that's not private, then I'll go in and film. So the name of this residence is called Fairlane. So I'm going to go online and check it out, look it up, Fairlane. Well, so it's like two buildings in one. One here, then this one's called Brixton Place. But there are some pretty nice looking apartments on the outside. Now I wonder how they look in the inside. And then even over here, you got some nice looking buildings. So I think I just got to go around to see what's going on. I tell you, this is giving me a little bit of a Cubao vibe. You look at the map, it looks like it's a tiny neighborhood or district. But then when you walk in the neighborhood, it's actually bigger than what you see in the map. So don't let Google Maps fool you when it's about the Philippines or the metro part of Manila. Got a nice looking developed street. Not sure where it would take me. Probably gonna take me somewhere, I don't know, heading towards BGC and Makati, which is more like heading towards south. Then I see some nice looking houses and residential units ahead of me. Let me study my maps and see where exactly I am. 123 West Capitol Drive, Pasig City. It's another nice looking street with some nice houses right here in the corner. But then I'm gonna keep walking towards this way to see what can I find. And this is like a little business free sizzling tofu. And the Philippines, they do love their food sizzling. Well, it's kind of like an announcement of mats. And then here, you know, pretty much like a standard neighborhood you get all over the Philippines. Nice looking house over here. Now this is where I'm gonna die. The road is literally going up, so I'm going up the hill. Gonna need a really cold drink after I do this walk. It's not only the hills, but the heat. It takes it to another level out here. So I'm looking at some of the regular streets out here, and yeah, it seems like they're private. One of the streets I wanted to detour, it had a gate. So no way I could go inside, but I'll just focus on this one, Capitol Drive. You know, because it seems like it's a pretty interesting street. I also saw the map, there's like a municipal and basketball court. So I might look into that. Then I think here's where the restaurant starts. I already saw a Filipino-Mexican restaurant right here. So I see more over here. Here we got Shabu Noki, but it seems like it's closed. Or maybe it is open, but it's not time for lunch yet. Here's a Japanese restaurant, Ramen House. So I guess here's where the restaurants start. And then I like the palm trees and the trees out here. You know, it gives it like a nice twist to the neighborhood. More establishments right here. Then the multi-level building right here. So what is it? Seems like it's a Japanese restaurant. Then there's a mixture of houses with establishments right here. Kapitolyo Indonesian cuisine, warung. They even have Indonesian food over here. I tried Indonesian food when I was in New York, and it's actually pretty good. You know, it's a food that doesn't really get mentioned a lot abroad in the States. But I think it's a food that's actually really underrated, and people should try it at least once. As you can see, the roads are well developed, well paved. Like I said, we got better infrastructure of roads in the Philippines than in my actual city that I live in, New Jersey, in the States. That's actually crazy. Philippine Institute of Architects. Wow. Then ahead of me, there are some tall buildings, some high-rise buildings. So I think this is actually the first time I make a video in Pasig, which also has a lot of couple of downtown districts all combined together. Here we got another nice looking building. Kind of looks like those buildings that they built in Williamsburg and Brooklyn, combined with the old architecture. Like they got a nice balcony. The structure of the building is nice, you know. But yeah, that's really interesting. More of those beautiful flowers, which I saw them in Quezon City. And this side that I'm walking has no trees, and the hill's still going up. This is where I could really use an umbrella. Units for rent. 2-bedroom studio. I guess over here they're renting a couple of units to live around here. So you can see it keeps going. Like I say, no trees, but they got some nice houses that are gated, so it should be private. And what is this? Barbarians cheesesteak. Is it a Philly cheesesteak? got it all over here. Yo, I love this guy's swag, how he dressed ahead of me. Green hat and everything, that's dope. Oh, it's a coffee shop, that's dope. So I think in the evenings and weekends, it must be a cool spot to hang out because I see, a couple of bars, a lot of restaurants, so it must be a place for a lot of people to hang out. And then the way how the residential units looks like, still walking over here. And you got the regular streets and tall buildings in the back. That literally looks like, no, I don't think it is. It looks like Eastwood City, but I don't think Eastwood City is around here. It's a little bit far. Eastwood City is in Quezon City, but it's also like a little small business district. There are some nice developed buildings and everything you need within walking distance. Cucina Corta, this must be like an Italian restaurant. The street is actually better. Lao Taipei, so they got Taiwanese noodles right here. Taiwanese noodles is really good. Balai pan de sal. I love the architecture and the buildings right here. Look at this, even Canadian food, what the hell? Main Street Canadian comfort food. That's actually hilarious, bro. So what do they sell there? Poutine? But also keep in mind, Canada has a lot of Filipinos living there, especially in Alberta, like Edmonton, Calgary. So I'm not sure they have a fusion of Canadian with Filipino food. Could be, but that is crazy to see a Canadian restaurant right here in Kapitolyo. So within 1 or 2 more blocks, it would take me to the main street of Shaw Boulevard. So I'm gonna use this pedestrian lane ahead of me to cross the street. And this is the other angle of the street. And of course, over here, they have some beautiful condos too. And then what's that, Monterey? It's like a meat shop or a restaurant. There's more action happening over here. And then what is this? Ramen? Also, they got a couple of ramen joints out here. And this street over here is West Capitol Drive. Oops. And this will take me to Capitol Commons, which is another mini central business district. Kind of like a mini Rockwell, but instead of Makati Pasig version, I can see the buildings of Capitol Common ahead of me. And we got a couple of restaurants out here, and then Matt's, which is like a restaurant chain all over the Philippines, and of course, the worldwide McDonald's. This over here is called Cafe Juanita. Ooh, Cafe Juanita, what? Nice looking restaurant, then a sushi bar over here. I like the decoration. I'm sure in the nighttime, it's nice with the lights going on. And then ahead of me should be Shaw Boulevard. They do have a lot of restaurants and eateries out here in Kapitolyo. And I like how it's a regular neighborhood combined with the skyscrapers surrounding all over. So, or even a bakery. That's nice. But once again, I want to give a nice shout out to the viewer that recommended me to check out Kapitolyo. If you guys know any other districts I should check out in Metro Manila, write them down. I'm all for it. I want to explore different neighborhoods, not just the touristy, but I want to explore all over Metro Manila and of course, other provinces in the Philippines. And this is another cool street in Kapitolyo. Love the buildings and everything that's going on. So I'll probably do 1 more block and then make a left in the next one. That would take me directly to Shaw Boulevard. Got the tricycles out here. What's that? Oh, like a market out here. So some old buildings combined with modern buildings. Oh wow, they got some nice restaurants over here. Then Maria Rice condominium, the 5th at Rafael. Ooh, what is this car doing? So it literally feels like I enter another world. Resembles a little bit some streets in the provinces. Like in the province. It seems like it's a food truck area. Street foods and stuff. Oh wow, I tell you, in Manila, it's like, you gotta venture almost every single road, because it's like every road that I walk, they have something to offer, something pretty interesting to look at. Like I'm around here surrounded by some tall buildings and regular houses and local streets, so it's really cool. Then we got this here, it could be like a subdivision, let me see. Doesn't seem like it's private either, so let me venture over here. I wanna show you some of the, some people said shout out, why don't they come over here and say hi during the motorbike? But let me show you this regular street out here, because it's kind of giving me vibes when I'm back home in the States. Like you see the old buildings with new buildings. Look at this, see? Nice looking building and condominium, and then they got the regular residential houses over here, so this is gorgeous. And then over here, look, 360 view, and it's all like tall buildings happening right here. Wow, this one is new. They're building a condo right here. And I think in 2028, once they finish building the Metro Manila subway line underground, city is gonna be a hit. It's gonna be up and coming pretty quick. This house is pretty gorgeous. Well, not houses, apartments. They're actually pretty nice. Looks like those hotels. I tell you, this street over here is giving me vibes when I stayed my last day in Phnom Penh in Cambodia. Like the streets are literally like this, covered with trees, and then they got like the new condos. This is a new condo right here. They're building more in the back, and then this is a nice one. Yo, I like this building. I can tell it's literally new. Yo, but yeah, Kapitolyo is really cool section out here in Pasig. Trying to shortcut for a little street over there that would take me to Shaw Boulevard. Even though there was a little gate, but there was a sign that says outsiders not allowed. And of course I'm visible, you know, I stand out from everybody out here. Even though I guess maybe it's not a big deal, but you know, I'm just gonna respect the laws over here. I don't wanna break the laws, so I'm just gonna do the longest way and exit by Capitol Drive. This is another angle of the street out here. You know, it's a nice looking street. Really cool, and it's really busy ahead of me over there. My best bet is to cross where the police are or the street patrollers are. I think that would be a big help for me. So I'm gonna take advantage of that system and that service. I'll do it with this kuya right here. And over there's like another nice developed area. That's Capitol Commons where the buildings are. And they got like new, I think it's like a mall, shopping mall over there. So I'm here, why not check it out? Check out Capitol Commons to see what's going on. And this over here is Capitol Commons. And this is mostly like restaurants, malls. Got a couple of business on the other side, but you know, well-paved streets with trees. I like the cobblestones on the sidewalk. And the way how I discovered this section was, I was taking a Grab taxi from, I think it was Mega Mall all the way to where I'm staying. And we passed this in the nighttime, like, wow, this is a nice developed area. So I literally started tracking from Google Maps where the location was. And it turns out it was right here in Capitol Commons. So this is not too far from Ortigas. So it's like they got little semi-districts all over together. Then another thing I noticed is the guys that were crossing the people, they have their sign that says Kapitolyo. So it seems like every district in Metro Manila, they have like their own semi-little rules. So I think that's actually something that's really cool, you know, to keep the neighborhood nice, clean, and safe. It's kind of like a mixture of mall. It's kind of like a semi-BGC, you know, the streets, how to develop, and then here you got this nice looking condominiums that are super tall. And there are more condominiums in the back. Even have a little local park here. This is kind of giving me, like I say, a semi-vibe BGC with Rockwell, especially by the power plant mall. Like the same design and the same architecture, because they got like a little local, what's up? They got like a little local park over here, so that's really cool. Then Pick Up Coffee is right across the corner. I might walk over there. This area is actually really cool. Wow, I'm gonna show you the view ahead of me. Let me see if I can cross the street and take a little B-roll for you guys to show you. And the mini malls, they have like a passage that connects you from one side to another one. This is called Estancia. Well, this is a little bit of a BS situation. You know, I'm still not trying to make a big deal off of it, but I was filming where the tall condos are. One of the security guys, he helped me cross the street, so I started getting like the B-rolls. And then he came back and he told me not to record. I'm not sure if he's referring to the buildings or out here, which I think is BS, because according to me, this is actually like a public space. There was no barricade or anything like stopping me from getting in here, so. But I didn't argue, I didn't really say anything, because at the end of the day, like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm a guest out here and I don't want to disrespect the locals and stuff, but if anybody who lives around here is familiar with this area could tell me is it allowed to record or not, because you know, there is no signs or anything telling me no video allowed, but I just want to put that out here. This happened in Capitol Commons, right where the tall condos are. I was trying to film the little park that they had over there, and the security told me not to record, which I kind of should have, I don't know, asked them like, why, is there a sign or anything, but I'm not trying to make a big deal off of it, so, you know, we just carry on. I'm already filmed most of the stuff that I filmed most of the things that I wanted to film out here today, so, you know, not gonna ruin this video over that. So I'm back out here again in busy Shaw Boulevard. You can see how the vibes changes from one block to another one, but I love it. I love the diversity of this. There's regular restaurants, jeepneys will come and drop and pick up people out here. And the buildings over there, that's Ortigas. So I'm going literally where I was coming back from. Here you see the high-rise modern buildings of Ortigas and a couple of malls ahead. It's between Greenfield and Ortigas, so I'm gonna walk all the way back again to the MRT. So I think I'm gonna start wrapping up my video over here, exploring Kapitolyo and a little bit of Capitol Commons. So that was the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. Be safe out there, everybody. God bless y'all, and peace.